Talking Tottenham, a fantasyfocus.com production.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 153 of Talking Tottenham. You got Buck, you got Danny Shakes. This is going to be an interesting episode. Ian Ferguson, one of our very great listeners out there, he has already stated this should be a long one. I certainly agree with that. So we've had a 24-hour news cycle that has basically blown our minds. This is unspeakable movements on both fronts, like a lot of positivity in one mind, but a lot of negativity in the other mind. And so it's this thing that we just kind of recycle through. We got to start somewhere. We drew 2-2 with Everton. Disappointing result. Terrible game. Everton really took it to us. We're not going to dive much into that because guess what? That's water under the bridge at this point. But they essentially went out and they outplayed us and they controlled the ball. They killed Tottenham Hotspur, and that's what they needed to do on the day. And it was 2-2. We got lucky to get the 2-2. And then we roll into Sunday. Sunday was quite the appetizer there. I was out at a bar, outdoors, having a great time in the patio. And all of a sudden, my phone starts blowing up around, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. And there were talks of this Super League. And there were talks that there will be an announcement made at 9:30 in England. And surely that happened, Shake. So European Super League, where are you?
Well, like everybody, Bucks, I think I'm out. I don't know if this one seems to have shaken all the other leagues, the UEFAs, the FIFAs, the FAs of the world, more so than all these other rumblings of prior Super Leagues and the rumors that would get kind of leaked out. Like, remember 6 months ago, just when that one came out, and there's always this constant cloud that had been hanging over the head of European football, and it dealt with basically the bigger clubs wanting more money. Right, that's just pretty much it. Just bigger clubs. They're sick of playing at Parma. They're sick of playing at Burnley. They're sick of playing over, at Bournemouth. They want to just only play the other bigger clubs, sell that as a TV rights deal, and then from there make more money and split it all up. Now, the awkward part of this, Bucks, is like we're broadcasting in America and we are people that deal with capitalism. And I understand like the parallels being made to, NBA, NFL, with what they're trying to do here, a non-relegation Super League. Where it's just so much different is the way that football is woven into just the identity of Europe with club ball, relegation, and promotion. It just goes against everything on that side. And, it's the one area where I just don't like capitalism. I'm sorry. I'm just not for it. And I just think it's a money grab. It'll only lead to everything being worse in European football. And we can talk about like what I think will become, of like what is the Prem after this and playing all this forward. How does it affect even the leagues below in all these countries? I just think it's a very short-sighted money grab decision, and it will really probably in the long run not even really work out the best for these teams. But here we are, and it just feels more real, or at the very least the greater bargaining chip, to really reform the Champions League. Maybe that's just what this will boil down to, but this feels a lot more real than like all the rumors that you've had in prior years.
It does. It certainly does. You had the one, I think it was about 8 months ago. It would have been last July, August, where there were some ruminations of this. You got Justin Wicken here chiming in on YouTube. Thank you for the shout out here. Single best thing about European/world football is promotion and relegation. It makes every game meaningful and exciting. Super League kill all of that. I agree. So I did have a talk with my buddy Graham, who's over in the UK, great chap. And we spoke regarding his positivity surrounding this, right? Because you'd rather be in the party than outside of the party, right? It's happening. That event is happening. These teams are joining together. The revenue will be immensely impacted here. Meaning, I think we're talking about upwards of 350 million pounds per club that are involved in this. So, I mean, that speaks. Money does talk, but does it make it just? Does it make this a situation where I feel proud being a part of it? I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a sham. I feel that Spurs, when you look, there was a graphic where all the domestic titles between League Cups and league titles over the last 30
European
years,
trophies.
European trophies, Spurs had 0. The next team up had 13.
So look, I'm very frustrated and disappointed in our club that we support, Bucks. It's just, I understand the neutral supporter or the supporter that, just isn't a top 6 or big Spanish club supporter. They have every right to be mad at Spurs, and I'm sure they are too, but really their venom should probably be more directed at Barcelona, at Manchester United, at Liverpool, at Arsenal, at Real Madrid. And the reason behind that is, like you were saying, I mean, just Spurs' goal was just getting invited to that party. And they did. So if that was the mission 10 years ago, when in 2009, Daniel Levy said, we're going to build this $1 billion state-of-the-art stadium, and it's going to be huge, and Spurs are a top 6 club. This is what we're trying to be. Well, it's tougher. At first, I was pretty outraged when I saw the news, but then I thought to myself, well, that's really pulling the wool over my own eyes if I didn't expect Spurs to join up this as they're building a $1 billion stadium and trying to be a top 6 club. So, there is that reckoning that I think as a supporter, kind of like what Graham was telling you kind of already saw this writing on the wall. It probably happened a lot more abruptly and a lot more, I thought, just done the wrong way. Like the way the impact kind of hit on like a Sunday night news drop.
9:30 p.m.
was just like
time.
Absolutely ridiculous. Like, who's the PR people in charge of this? Because, no one likes UEFA or FIFA. So to suddenly make them like the saints and all of this, now everyone's like kind of backing with them. That's pretty outrageous. So just the way everything was handled,
to have a pity party for
awful.
UEFA.
Yeah, I mean, UEFA sucks, and here we are now, kind of banding together. I just saw on the newswire, Boris Johnson came out and said he will do everything in his power to stop the Super League.
Okay, Boris.
And thanks, Boris. We need you. But the reason I kind of also pointed out these large clubs outside of Spurs is because it's like, and Bayern Munich was, I forget who it was, one of their execs was making fun of Barca and Arsenal. And I agree. It's like these clubs are just run terribly. They're in financial ruin. It's like they're driving, like what was Barcelona's sheet a while ago, like $1 billion worth of debt. And it wasn't even good debt. It wasn't like, hey, here's this stadium or this asset that's put against it. Basically, it's like, hey, we can't like help hurting ourselves. So we need to create this Super League to increase more money to get us out of this hole that we dug ourselves into. And look, you're always going to be that way. So if I just increased your budget, I bet you still burn yourself up into whatever you're going to be in the Super League. If you're Barcelona or if you're Arsenal, I don't understand how suddenly just throwing more money at the problem is going to just make you better. You're still going to be a mismanagement of your own money. So them wanting to do this type of Super League because it's like they're trying to pull themselves out of, not financial ruin, but just like getting them better as far as like how their books look. That's bullshit. Where it's bullshit for Manchester United and Liverpool especially is you are like the gold standard, like pageantry, historic clubs of England. There's other big clubs out there, of course.
The People's Club,
but
Liverpool.
Just the way that you're kicking the other English teams to the curb, the other clubs, the other divisions, that's outrageous. That sucks. I mean, that's, so there's like the financial part of me that says, man, Barca, Arsenal, these guys, like, I get why they're doing it, and that's bullshit. It's like money grab, and I'm sure money grab for everybody. But you can also look at the Man U, Liverpool, like emotional side of it and say that's really fucked up.
Yeah, but it feels that way for Spurs too. Like it's one thing to cast blame at others, but when you really look in the mirror here, this has been building, and it's been a 4-year project from the stadium, right? I went in 2015 for my first match at White Hart Lane. They were already building out all the inroads, the infrastructure to get this stadium up. That was 6 years ago. So I think you're right. You nailed it. This has been a 10-year goal for Daniel Levy. He wants the extra revenue stream. The problem I have with it is it's exclusive in a sense that is completely separated from the mentality of all the other European leagues, right? It's a meritocracy. So I'm going to start with a negative, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of a positive here, folks. So it's not all going to be doom and gloom. The negative. I love the history of English football. I think it is the allure that drew me towards football in the first place, drew me towards Tottenham. Going to White Hart Lane for the first time was so eye-opening for me. Like, I couldn't believe it. And I'd been supporting the club for 6 years at that point. But getting to that stadium and the people at the pubs and everything surrounding it, I know this doesn't really change that on the surface for the clubs that are involved, but I think you nailed it. What about the other clubs? Where's their revenue stream going to be? If, in fact, the FA holds all these clubs' heads over the roost and says, hey, we're going to chop your heads off if you continue down this road. And they want to continue down that road because the revenue share would be just in doing so. So why not join these other 11 clubs and have this money train rolling in? But what do we lose in that? Because what happens to the Premier League, something that we both hold dearly. You watch every other game that you can, Shakes. I watch every game because I'm a degenerate, for lack of a better term. I watch every game. It is my life. I love it. And I love going over there. I love going to Craven Cottage for a random game. I love these smaller clubs that fight like hell against the big six, whatever you want to call them, because it's not even a big six. Spurs are 7th right now, so it's not even a big six. You got West Ham in there. So it doesn't matter to me. Arsenal's way down. What matters to me is the feeling of going to that pitch and saying, look, I might support Sheffield United, who will be relegated. We know that. But they have a chance today to make an impact against the biggest clubs in the world. So sure, if this goes off swimmingly, and all of a sudden we have a European Super League, we also have a Premier League. I don't understand how that works with 12 teams and then playing in another 20-team tournament, which is the Premier League. I don't see how that works. So in a perfect world, yeah, it would work. But then what happens to the Champions League bids? What happens with all these continental unifications? So you have La Liga, you have Serie A, you have Premier League, and then assuredly you're going to have a German club that steps on board, Bayern Munich, probably Dortmund. You get France in there, you get PSG and Monaco potentially. But what happens then to the other people that are contending for these Champions Leagues or these Europa League spots? What happens to them, Shakes? What are we doing? It's a disservice. I think the structure currently works. Are teams frustrated with UEFA? Clubs, not teams. Are clubs frustrated with UEFA? Sure. But why can't that be worked out? Like, the current structure, in my opinion, makes a lot of sense. Change is inevitable. Bob Dylan, times they are changing. He's been saying it since the 60s. We know that's the truth. But at what point do we have to pull the plug before this becomes an Americanized? And I hate saying that because I'm an American and I love American pro sports. But what drew me to England in the first place is you have the lowest rung battling against the top rung. And they fought for that opportunity. Where does that go from here? Pro Rel, and Ian, you nailed it here. It could destroy the pyramid. And it could force a ton more clubs to shut their doors for good. And that concerns me, man, because I've been to the lower leagues. I've been in those stadiums. I've been around their supporters. I love it, Shakes. It's my lifeblood, is English football. And it sounds so stupid, but it's true. I love that shit. It is the thing that really it opened my eyes to a whole different world of sports. And now it feels like it's just going to be overtaken by the Googles, by the Apples of the world, and it's done. It could be done. Is it done? Is my question for you.
It could be. I mean, I'm still holding out hope this is all one big, huge ass coordinated bargaining chip with figuring out how Champions League works. And basically it's all about money, Bucks. Like, there's no like way around. Like, PSG will always be a top 4 French league. Like, they'll always qualify for Champions League, right? Barcelona,
Yeah.
Real Madrid, they're going to always cancel. They're going to qualify for it. They just want more of the revenue. They're sick of playing these games. And I shouldn't say they're sick of playing these games. It's just they know that they could flip that game. Like PSG, they're rumored in it. It sounds like they're saying no now, though, right? Like, they're saying they're not even going to transfer out players
Probably
to
with pressure.
Super League clubs. Did I read that, or is that just now you're just like
No,
reading
that's what they're
everything on
saying.
Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, but like, I pulled up French League One. That's Dijon FCO is the 20th place team. They're on negative 34 goal differential. They've won 3 matches. You go to like Spanish Premier League. Let's see here. Where's the
La Liga.
Hold on, I'm pulling up the. You got teams that are 4.
For the
11,
record,
16.
I love Dijon mustard.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, great
Like,
coupon.
Who is it? Elche. They're negative 21 goal differential. I think I read Parma was negative 31 goal differential. So like the thought process, I'm sure, with all these big clubs is I don't want to go to this place where I know this team could be replaced by Juventus playing Manchester United, for instance, because they're in the Super League. So it just boils down to how that money is structured and how it's received. And then I don't know the books on UEFA. Like, I don't know how Champions League money all gets funneled in certain ways back to not just the clubs, but also to the leagues and the ranks below. But if that's what's trying to be reorganized here and restructured is that money, then maybe there is some sort of revised Champions League compromise that comes out of this as opposed to just a Super League. A listener just now, I'm looking at it. Tiari, I'm sorry. KT, our boy KT. That's right. I'm pulling up his question right here, or you can do it.
Which one?
The one about the competitive nature of the league, because I agree with that. So the issue with comparing this to American sports, so everyone gets it, is we have drafts, meaning like you can pull the top prospects as opposed to having them on a club level forever, like as a youth. So if you have a team that's not good, like in the NBA, they have a higher draft pick so that they can hopefully get a better prospect to build their team in the future. Well, there's no draft with anything soccer. So if you have a Super League and Spurs are out of it because they're getting their teeth kicked in every single week by Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, whatever, suddenly they're in the Premier League at the same time, and they're just going to straight up send nobody out there to the Super League because they already know that's lost and they're not making whatever the stupid, knockout stage is for that. And then that's going to screw up the competition in that league. That's what will happen. That absolutely will. That's a great point by KT. So it's just, there's not foresight. There's not foresight on how it affects the clubs below. Below all the Premier Leagues and all the, La Ligas and League Ones and whoever else wants to join that's at the top. And then I don't think it's really got a lot of foresight as to what the competitive nature of the Super League will be. I mean, sure, like it just might turn into Champions League all over again, where you just have, specific teams gunning for it because they can afford to, and they're the big clubs, and the bigger clubs just keep getting bigger bucks. Like Spurs will, it's great. We got invited to this party. We'll make more money. But I mean, we're going to kind of get beaten up every week in this, right? You're just not going to have the same payroll as Man U, as Barcelona, as Real. Like, that's just the way it is. So, that's fine. Great. We're at the party, but we're just, essentially we're now, with all due respect, we're like Burnley in this Super League, right? Like, is that how this is just going to kind of boil down? Like, we're going to be the team that has to like, sacrifice possession, D up, and then hopefully we steal something here. But I
don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I mean, that just thinking about that, like the competitive balance will be all fucked up too.
Yeah, the competitive balance is a concern. We're in the party though. I've been many a time at the end of the line trying to get into a club or a bar, and they don't let me in, right? And I can't go to the VIP section. I don't have go-go dancers all around me. I'm not able to compliment them on their dance skills because I'm outdoors. At least we're in the door. We are at least in the door.
We are. I mean, that's great.
I mean, but it feels dirty, doesn't it? I feel dirty right now.
Well, you know what it is. It's like there's a posse in it, but we're like the guy like that's like ninth in the posse, right? Yeah, we're just kind of going with it, but we're
I
still
would
part
say
of the
we're a
crew.
solid eighth.
You think we're eighth in the
Yeah,
posse?
yeah.
I don't know. Just
We're the eighth guy on the list of the text chain.
yeah, we're not glue guy. That's for certain.
We are not glue guy. We are
No.
fringe guy.
We are fringe guy to the nth degree. But I mean, do you see this outside anything but besides just let's get more money? And that's where it just boils down to where it sucks is it's just like any other sport, really. You're seeing this in the NFL, you're seeing it, elsewhere. These clubs are worth, and this is more now the finance end of it, I think, Bucks. It's like you have
That's
these
fine.
clubs that are worth like $1 billion, maybe even more. And they want to increase their cash flows because your value of the club is what someone would pay for it, right? And that does not match up to cash flows. That is where this is different in basically any other business. And the cash flows that you're restricted to, if you're a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, a Man U who's publicly traded, is pretty much TV revenue, gate revenue, merch revenue. And then you have some of that split. So if you want to increase your cash flows and even then justify a price point even higher on your club, you find yourself doing wacky ass shit like this, which is trying to, do like a 1, 2, 3 tweet and we'll all coordinate together.
That was the craziest part about this was it was just basically saying we are going to war together right now at 9:30 English time. That's what it was.
Being led by Joel Glazer. And
here I'm sitting there, I'm at a bar, and I'm just like casually looking at my phone, right? And there's rumors of this Super League, big announcement coming at 9:30. And I'm just looking at it on Twitter like these are all rumors, right? No. What do you mean 9:30 on a Sunday? No shot they do it then. And then I see the Spurs official tweet about the Super League intentions. And then as I refresh Twitter, you had Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid in Spanish, basically saying Super League. What the fuck is going on, Shakes? Like, what an orchestrated assault this was on the football world. And is UEFA perfect? Hell no. They're terrible and they're corrupt. We know that. It's very apparent. But doesn't this to you, I think there were better ways, and I'm doing a horrible job of phrasing this question. I think there were better ways about approaching this. If you want to change with your UEFA, if you want to change with Champions League, I feel like the current structure works. I don't like the fact that you have these 12 teams and they're trying to expand to 15, I believe, as founding members of this union. I don't even know what to call it. I don't want to go to Spain for a weekend game. I don't want to do it. I think it's cool.
And it'd be a weekday game, right?
Well, yeah, living here it could be a weekend. I don't think the Prem lasts with this conjecture going on.
That's the thing. It's like that's where it did feel a little bargain chippy is we're going to do this and sure, we'll just play our Prem games on the weekend still. And it's like, there's no way possible having the foresight. You think that's just like hunky dory. It's all going to work out and they'll be fine with you just kind of replacing it. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And that's where I don't know if they anticipate the fallout like this, Bucks, because it seems pretty rough. Like
it's rough.
No one's giving like the pro Super League commentary. If we were forced to have a Super League, am I excited Spurs are in it? Yes. Okay. So there's that part of it. Like I'd rather be in the Super League than not be in the Super League if the Super League was forced to happen. I just don't know why it needs to be forced to happen. I mean, to make a couple extra million for a billionaire just doesn't seem to match up with what kind of like the foundation of football by country is. I don't know. What I found interesting is how basically Germany was like, no, we're good. So don't you think like that could have been English football too? Like this goes back to my conversation of, like it's like you look at La Liga, you even look at Ligue 1 and in France, and if you want to look at Serie A, fine. I get that those divisions don't make as much money, but are still pretty rich money, but not like what, the Premier League makes. So why is Man U and Liverpool to that aspect, really Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, like, do we really need to do a Super League here if you're English Premier League? And you could have just been like Bundesliga and say, no, we're good. We are a very rich league. The pageantry and just the club football pyramid and how that all works means more to this than any other place. And we're just going to be fine. We'll be here. Like we would love to do Champions League. We want to, sure, like figure out ways to maximize revenue, but to then just kind of jump ship and just kind of leave all the other clubs hanging and then you can't like just suddenly be, surprised by that. You're like, well, I didn't really think we were leaving. We were just kind of joining this. It's like, no, don't play that game. I can't stand that.
You put the shovel in the dirt.
Yeah, exactly. Let's now suddenly act surprised here.
Yeah.
So that's the part where I'm just disappointed that, Bundesliga seemed to figure it out. Bayern's like, no. Now, as I say this, watch Bayern join because they feel the pressure too, or Dortmund or whoever. But, they were good with their domestic league and they thought that really smelled like shit. So they didn't want to deal with it. So why didn't these English Premier League teams do the same? I would argue the history is just the same, if not more so than German football.
And that is perfectly said, Shakes. You hit the nail on the head. With Germany, I feel like Germany, they made a great stand there. But the fact remains that they have two clubs that I would say were eligible for this competition, right? They have Dortmund, they have Bayern, and that's it. And then you get to the English teams, where the English teams, you have six that make up the six biggest clubs in the world, aside from Real Madrid, Barcelona, maybe Bayern in a certain circumstance. But you can't do the Super League without those English teams. The English teams move the needle. So I think this is orchestrated by the English clubs. I don't think this is orchestrated by Barca. I think it's orchestrated by Real Madrid.
From what I've read, it does seem like you see a lot from the Glazers and from Fenway Liverpool.
Oh, it's Joel Glazer.
F those guys. Okay.
It's Joel Glazer.
And apologies, because I know we got some American bloodlines going through there. So that probably turned into like, hey, well, this is how we do it in America, and it's capitalism at its best, but it just does not apply here. But also, Bucks, Barcelona, and Juventus seem to be at the forefront of this as well. So you're right. You don't go without any of the EPL clubs. I mean, Spurs have these ambitions, so they were just going to go around for the ride. I just don't think they would have ever been the leader in this. It had to start with Man U and Liverpool, because they're just the world-renowned clubs. I mean, let's be real. I mean, we're fighting to get to that level. It'd be great one day, but it's never going to happen because they're just Manchester United and Liverpool Football Club. So, like, I mean, that's where, to me, it's disappointing. And like I said, that's more the emotional end, because really, Man U and Liverpool, they're not in like financial ruin like Arsenal and Barcelona. Those idiots just need more money to protect them from themselves, and they're still going to do it. They're still going to.
I like how you're calling them idiots live on the broadcast waves here.
Well, they don't manage their funds well.
Okay. Well, you're more in tune with that.
It's just like, I mean, sure, things could have went wrong. And maybe you expected certain things to happen better than others, but it just feels like it's like the ultimate get out of jail free card for them. They're like, what if we just did this and increased revenue? It's like, well, what about the scorched earth path that you just did to get there?
Yeah. Scorched earth is something to be talked about, because I do feel like this is a bit of scorched earth. I'm concerned about the future of the Premier League. People are pissed off out there, but I got Scott MB here dropping devil's advocate for a moment. Is there a chance Super League could be awesome? Yeah. Spurs are in it.
Champions League's awesome. That's what they're trying to do, is just create their own Champions League.
But a perpetual Champions League that is not based on a meritocracy, I don't think I love that.
And that's the thing. It's just, does this just turn into like some sort of revised Champions League where maybe it's a lot tougher to get relegated, but you still could get relegated? I don't know. Is it a point system? Like it's a point system right now to draw from the pots in Champions League.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like really hard to go down from pot 1 to pot 2 to pot 3. And that's just something they got to factor in because they're larger clubs and it's based off whatever. I mean, the other thing too, Bucks, is like lost in all this is the players. Like the players, they probably want to play these big matches. They would probably love to get bigger salaries. I don't think it's, they're going to be sold a bill of goods by these owners who are scumbags. It's like these owners, like flat out, I shouldn't say like scumbags, but like, here's the
You're
thing.
fiery today, Shakes.
Well, it's like, do you remember a single survey done by, any club to their supporters? Like, hey, what if we joined a super league? How would you feel about that? I don't remember any polling, any surveys, anything like that. So now that all the independent ones are being done, guess what? It's like 85-15 or whatever the percentage breakdown. Probably not even that. It's probably even higher than that as far as supporters in favor of the Super League or not in favor of it. They're all not in favor of it. So it's like you have these clubs not at all talking to their supporters, the people that actually help pay their players and pay them, for everything, merch, tickets, TV rights, whatever. So
podcasts.
Podcasts, anything in this orbit. We're just the small little asteroid that's just orbiting around the moon, around the planet. So the way I look at it, Bucks, is like being that they didn't care about the fans when they decided to do this, them just selling a bill of goods to the players saying, oh, your salaries are going to go up. I don't necessarily believe that either. Sure, they might go up a little bit, but what it will really mean is just it'll get more top heavy to like the Barcelonas, the Reals, the, Man U's, where just maybe the top tier talent will get some better wages or whatever, but it's not like suddenly it just changes the entire wage structure. So if I'm the players, I'd smell test the hell out of this.
Yeah, you need to smell test it. It's got to be like a bacon cheeseburger.
It already stinks, and now suddenly you just think it's just going to make more money for you. And then also on top of that, don't forget the cost of it, which is suddenly now you're playing 60 matches a year for club and country, because odds are you're playing for your country too if you're on a Super League team. So, I mean, look, I'm not like Mr. Union, but there's got to be some sort of coordination by the players so they don't get run into the ground. They understand what the wages are if this is a Super League. And it's just, I don't even know what it looks like with the club, like the club leagues. Like, it's just going to be a mess when you go to the domestic tables. Like, so, okay, like, are you playing this guy because he's on a different wage structure in the Super League, and then he's going to play the next, 4 days later because you're in the Prem at the same time? Do they have to get a rest? What should there be restrictions there? Because now this guy's going to play 65 matches. Maybe he should have a match restriction, as far as like to keep him fresh. I mean, it's just going to create a mess on all that stuff too. No one's talking about that either yet.
So I feel like people are overlooking the fact when I see tweets that say there will be a concurrent Super League and a concurrent Premier League. How does that work? I don't think that works, because what is the waterfall effect for all the other clubs in terms of competing for Champions League, competing for Europa League? What happens? You have all the clubs that are staples of European competition, Spurs aside. We are not a staple, right? We are the one outlier. Like
maybe we're like the little brother in the posse.
We're
it's like,
the
oh
ugliest
man,
friend.
little Jimmy has to come. Like, our parents were friends, and yeah.
This Spurs are this guy with like a patchy beard and like one buck tooth. And it's just, they show up. They're like, hey, where's the beer? That's Spurs right now.
We just get ripped on behind our back constantly.
I see. The thing that the waterfall effect for me is the thing that people are failing to see. Like, yes, I'm super excited. There's this brand new club. We're in the club. We're fucking partying. We got bottles. We got all sorts of different, you got go-go dancers everywhere. Like I said before, that makes me feel good. I'm glad we're around the go-go dancers, because I for one subscribe to that notion. I like go-go dancers quite a bit. They could also not be go-go dancers. They could just be dancers. But they're go-going, and they're go-going hard, and Spurs are in there. We don't deserve to be in there. But the infrastructure that Levy has built has set us up to where we can at least talk at the table with these people, and they buy the bullshit we're selling them.
Yeah,
so that makes me feel pretty good as a Spurs supporter, knowing that we're there. But the waterfall effect, Shakes, is what concerns me the most. I think that I think there's going to be a lot of problems with Windfall here. There's going to be, how do you negotiate the Champions League if we now have this Super League?
Well, it's one or the other.
Well, that's the thing here.
It won't exist.
Movement? Are we just posturing?
That's why I said maybe it's one big bargaining chip, Bucks. I don't know, but the Champions League will exist where it's like Real Betis and Villarreal and then Everton and Leicester City, and RB Leipzig. Well, Leipzig makes it. I don't know. But I mean,
KT talks a little trash here. Do you find it fun to watch Bundesliga with Bayern winning every year?
Well, Bayern has the chance.
KT also said West Ham are kicking our teeth in right now. You're right, KT.
We really worry about Barcelona taking a dump on us. Yeah, I mean, it'll be every year, so you'll get your wish, KT. Barcelona look. You're allowed to have two competing thoughts, so you can think it's very impressive that Spurs made their way into this fucking elite club, which seems crazy, like 10 years ago, while also thinking it's scummy as hell. And
it's slimy, Shakes.
It's slimy as hell, but
slime right now.
But it's impressive that they got there. So you're allowed to think both of those things, and you're allowed to still root for your team if the Super League does happen. Like, I get all those things. It's just like the way this came about is just awful.
Everybody pushing their chips in at 9:30 English time.
Yeah, man. Well coordinated attack.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of two minds. I'm positive in the fact that we're part of it. I'd rather be in than be out. The fact that it's happening, I don't support. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the impacts that will have on the lower levels. It makes me a little bit sick. But that would have happened with or without Spurs, right? So, like, we could be Everton right now, and this is not to disparage Everton, but Everton is
like
right
an
there
Everton, a Leicester, an Aston Villa, just that level.
You could be up there and fighting like hell in the Premier League, and then all of a sudden this happens and you're not a part of it. I would rather be where we are, but at the same time, like, damn, how far apart are we from Everton? We're really not that far off. We're behind Leicester. Yeah, we should.
We did lose to them.
Yeah,
we did lose to Leicester.
Yeah, 1-0 and then 2-2, 3-2 aggregate. But it boils down to me. This is a team that it just doesn't seem like we belong. But I'm with you here, KT. Backlash aside, I think the Super League could be fun. It would just be like the EPL. The bottom teams would change every season. I don't know that that's the case, KT. I think they're trying to structure this like American sports. I think they're trying to structure it as a invitation only. And once you're in, you're in. You have the money to back it. You have the stadium. You have the infrastructure. And you are one of the top teams, point blank, period. I don't think it's going to be pro-rel. And that's my concern with it, because that goes against everything of the meritocracy that European football is built on. And that's the part that kills me, because I am from America, guys. Newsflash, American here.
We're capitalists, just not in our sports. I don't like that.
I grew up with these same teams and then expansion teams. And the thing that drew me to English soccer more than anything was the fact that you could have a team that comes up. You can have Norwich who just earned their place. They've been bouncing around, but they're fighting like hell to get back up. They want that revenue. That the Premier League revenue should represent something that teams aspire to. But yet now we have this other element added to it. They're all fighting for Champions League. Every team on match day one, Shakes, is fighting to get into Champions League for the revenue. You're saying that they don't have a chance to fight because they're Bournemouth? They don't have a chance?
That's this
you know what I mean? I hate that. I hate it. And I'm excited because we're in it, and I'm super pumped up. I like to party, so I'm cool with that. I like European parties. A lot of fun. Been to a few. Wouldn't mind a couple in Spain and Italy over the next couple of years, but it doesn't change the fact that I still feel sour about it.
It's revenue by birthright. You just feel because you're Real Madrid, you just should get more money because you're Man U. And that's what makes Spurs run into this impressive. Our birthright was not getting into this.
What birthright
So,
besides the
there,
beautiful stadium,
there
the
was
structures?
there wasn't that. So that's where this is impressive. And yes, like would I want to watch Spurs play Juventus? Of course. That's not the argument. And I did say maybe the trade chip would be some sort of revamped Champions League where there still would be some sort of version of relegation, but that's not what these owners want. These owners want to be in there forever and make their money. Like that's just what it is. They're not worried about the competition part of it.
Yeah, KT.
As long as they can lose every game as long as they sell out and the merch is good.
Yeah, KT. So Atalanta could win Serie A, get invited to the Super League, maybe, but there's a cap on that. So right now with 12 teams, certainly there's an opportunity. I don't think Atalanta has the backing and the infrastructure behind them. And I'm not educated on Atalanta. I'm just speaking off the dome here, just right off the cusp. I don't think that Atalanta can compete with Man U. I don't think Spurs can compete with Man U in terms of backing. I don't think Spurs can compete with Real Madrid. But yet here we sit at the table. We got rolls, we got biscuits, we got potatoes, we got some green beans, and we got a nice ham, honey baked.
I guess this is one way to keep Harry Kane.
With honey baked ham.
While saying with Super League admission. He wants to play for UEFA titles, and well, that might not exist anymore. There's no Champions League to play for, Harry. We're in the Super League.
Justin wanted to let you know that you were dissing Leipzig. So that was actually me.
I'm glad that was brought up. With Leipzig, I was reading up on this. By my understanding, if you're a German football supporter, you weren't really fired up about Red Bull coming in and buying up a club, and that became one of the more hated clubs locally, like in Germany.
Sure.
So I wonder if there's actually something to this with, them not wanting to join the Super League because you saw the backlash with RB Leipzig when you saw this team just
they're still real young in terms of their
no, but I mean, I left Leipzig up because I guess they are in it now a lot, but I know they kind of have this different feel, and I wonder if there's some of that in this decision by Bayern not to go if they choose not to in the end. If it's like it's happening, here's your open spot, and you have until July 31st to commit. I mean, I could see like the PR move and the presser to like really kind of like take it as far as you can and explain and just say we want to be a top club, and then on July 31st they commit. But I mean, we're just going to go around in circles, Bucks. I just think it was just a terrible way for all this to kind of come out, even though writing's been on the wall for years. Rumors have been swirling for years. Leaked projects, all this stuff. And on top of that, UEFA is not without sin. They have this terrible Champions League format in the opinions of these other clubs. And frankly, me and you probably. And just here's their reckoning. And now we're in this situation where, is UEFA and FIFA going to ban the players from playing? Is that going to force their hand? Is the Prem just going to relegate all the English teams like down to like fifth table below, and they can work their way back up if they want to do it? Are they going to get down for that? It's a mess.
It'd be like 4-0 win after 4-0 win.
Yeah.
Serge will have a gaff, so we get a 5-1 in there. But I'd be down for that. But I'm concerned. Color me concerned. Again. I'm excited that we're at the table, right? We have a steak knife, we have a fork, and we can cut through that steak. We're sitting there. And it's a very nice steak, Shakes. It's a Chateaubriand.
Okay.
And we're cutting through it. Feeling pretty good.
We're getting the scraps of that Chateaubriand.
All right, so on to the second bit of news here. That was 44 minutes of talking about the Super League. Shakes, I'm exhausted already.
I can go hours on it because I think it's fascinating from different perspectives. Obviously, the club football one's the most heartbreaking, as far as the pyramid goes.
Yeah.
But the financial part of it, I would love to see projections, Bucks. Like, I don't know if it really makes that much more money if you're looking at it 10 years later. I really don't.
I don't either.
But that's a different TED Talk.
So Jose Mourinho got the sack this morning, Shakes. How do you feel about that?
Who?
That guy, Jose.
So Bucks, cynical Dan time. Jose was fired because Spurs are like, we got to do something. Our supporters are pissed off about this whole Super League mess that we just found ourselves in. So 12 hours later, let's fire the manager that everyone hates.
It seems a bit too coincidental, doesn't it?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Do you believe the rumors that he refused to train today because of the Super League protests?
Yes and no. I could see Jose pitching a fit because he's probably getting paid by UEFA on the back end. Like, who knows? He's probably getting paid in his pocket right now to go and do commentary for the semifinals for UEFA.
Maybe.
I guarantee you, Jose Mourinho will be doing. He will be in studio for the UEFA semifinals. I guarantee it.
It's so the Super League, for them to take up 45 minutes of our time, Bucks, before we go into the main Spurs news, which is the sacking of our manager that we have probably called for months. I mean, that just tells you the Super League is pretty fucked up.
Justin nailed it. He's definitely Jose now forever.
Yeah, he's Jose forever. This was a long time coming. I still claim that if it wasn't for like Harry Kane just pulling Spurs to top 10 in the table, it probably would have happened a long time ago. It probably would have happened a long time ago if there were supporters in the stands voicing their opinion with style of play plus results. And it's one of those things where I just go back to the hiring moment. I'm not sure, again, if it was more the name brand, the splash hire, making sure you got like a good character for the Amazon documentary. I would love to know like the ranking system that went into picking Jose, taking him so Arsenal couldn't hire him because they were firing Emery. So like, now that this whole thing is done, it's like, I kind of feel like there's a weight off my shoulders, Bucks. I feel like now we can kind of look for a manager to maybe be a little bit more not just adventurous and how Spurs style of play would look, but then also maybe a more modern mind to kind of fit the modern game. And I understand it might take a little bit more time, but I'm willing to have a little more patience for someone that might be kind of more the up and coming type manager or the one that's got a modern vision versus kind of get the pragmatic win now guy and then just not get the win now results.
So I think we're going to target Scott Parker.
At Fulham?
Yeah.
I don't. I think we're going to target Nagelsmann and Brendan Rodgers.
Okay. Let's talk before we get into conjecture surrounding a new manager. Let's talk about the old one. Folks that have been listening to this podcast for a long time probably remember it very well. When Poch got the sack, we had a Michelle McLaughlin sighting on the podcast. I will remember you. I poured out a beer for Poch, and I love Poch. I just want to say to Jose Mourinho, get the fuck out. I don't care about you. None of us do. You were nothing but garbage. You were toxicity impersonated, and that's what it is. He's not a good individual. The way that he treated the players in these post-game press conferences over the last 4 months, it's just been infuriating. The way that he has shelved players to where they don't even see the pitch. He did it with Ndombele last year, and Ndombele has had his ups and downs this year, but he's a crucial piece. He's a hell of a talent. We're going through some sort of Stratocaster type of environment here with flashing lights and whatnot. It's a disco. No big deal.
I know you're moving, but did you pay your electric bill or are they just
I might have forgot it. Yeah, the set will be changing soon here, folks, by the way.
We're excited for your new
next weekend. Next weekend.
Bucks also upgrade his new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
I'm upgrading my stadium. This is the stadium. This is the pitch. I feel that I have no sympathy for Jose. I have none because he tarnished what was something that we loved and that we appreciated watching, even if it was in failure, even when we lost. We went out there, we had a purpose, we tried. I don't see that with Jose, and I'm glad that he's gone. I think it's very weird that we fired him before the final, but at the same time, maybe that's what the players need.
Maybe they need to get fired up. Maybe
they just need that off their backs, and they say, you know what, Ryan Mason, you son of a bitch. We're going to go out there. We're going to give our all for the RM.
What is he, like 24? How old is he?
No, he's like 30.
He's 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to have sympathy. I mean, he's a successful, they're going to look back at Jose's career and this will be like a footnote. Like Jose did this and this with.
He didn't get a trophy, Shakes.
No, he didn't. No. But I'm just saying, like, when you look back at Jose Mourinho's career, it'll be his time coaching Chelsea on 2 occasions. It'll be his time at Real Madrid. Maybe they'll mention a little bit of Man U. But this will just be the footnote part, and they'll just still say he was a Hall of Fame manager and he gets to go off to pasture. He'll be the guy that gets to talk about what he would have done, and the broadcast.
Yeah, he'll be talking quite a bit about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Similar to like Jose wanting to put together his sound bites or his highlight reels of like the back four screwing up. It's like if you put together like a Jose highlight reel tape of him slamming players over and over in this past 17 months, you would have been like, why wasn't this guy gone immediately? Like how did it take this long for him to create this much dissension until finally, someone woke up and axed him? Because Bucks, like no other manager does that. Like no, like I was thinking about that. Like, Klopp will try to like fight the interviewer, that's effed up too. But like, he's not talking shit about,
his players
Mane not playing well. Yeah. Pep will always, kind of say something. Poch would like famously not ever even like mention a player by name. You just go to all the big managers that manage these huge players, these were like world renowned players, and they just don't do that. And Jose, I don't know if it's like old school mind or whatever he wants to apply to it, but we've talked about it so many times, man. I don't know how he doesn't realize he creates half of his problems by what he says. And like, sometimes it's like you are a victim of your own, demise at times. And it just feels like that's what it is. He just thinks tactically he knows more than you. And he's going to like talk about how like if the players did everything that they were supposed to, that we should win every single time. And because the players suck or because they didn't do what they were told, that's why we lost. And it got to the point where he might as well have just said that last sentence I said out loud, because it had gotten to that blatant of how he would, maybe he'd beat around the bush a little bit. Now it's just like, I can't say because our players are that, but, it's just he wanted to be fired. I'm just convinced. Like he had checked out. Like he was out of love of coaching football. He didn't want to rebuild. He was hoping that the players that were there and the ones that he brought in, it would all work out and things would be great. Once it became a tougher sled for him and he realized what it was, he didn't want to be there. I'm just convinced that's what it was. He realized it was way more of a rebuilding project than he wanted to be. So then he started just firing shit out in the middle of these interviews that just made no sense and proved that he had either fallen out of love of coaching or didn't want to be there.
Well said. Well said. I do think there's a big factor there with that 3-5-2 that we tried to roll out on Friday. Where the hell did that come from? Number one.
Yeah.
And they didn't have Calvert-Lewin. So why are we so, we're so scared at the back? Come on, Jose. At least roll something out there. And thank God he's gone. It's a weight lifted off the players' shoulders. I'm 100% sure of that. We talked about it last podcast. They were walking on pins and needles. They were terrified to make a mistake. When you're terrified to make a mistake, you don't make those good plays because you're scared. You are scared. And Jose, listen, I could fault the man for a million things. He expects a certain level. And when you don't give that to him, or maybe it's that we don't have that in the bank, you see the repercussions of it. You see what happens. And Jose, in my opinion, I'm glad he never got a trophy at Tottenham. He's not Tottenham, man. He's not Tottenham. I want somebody in.
I like that take. He didn't deserve winning a trophy for this club.
No, he didn't, because guess who will? As Ian points out here. Oh, Ryan Mason.
Well, Sonny's dad, too. We can put Sonny's dad as coach.
We can also get Sonny's dad. Ian says all in favor of Sonny's dad taking over team training until the new guy takes over. Ian, that is the best idea I've heard in the last 24 hours.
Europe. Yeah.
That club will be absolutely tenacious on the pitch. There's no doubt. I'm glad he's gone. let's talk about. I don't even want to talk more about Jose because I think it was a crazy failure. All the rumors surrounding, like you and I are going to have to record a Southampton preview probably tomorrow or something like that because this is so much information in this episode.
I don't have the energy to even think what Ryan Mason's going to do, but who knows? I mean, it's going to be. I bet he doesn't go 3 center backs. Maybe he will. Who knows? It's just classic Jose. Bitches about the center backs, and then he starts 3 center backs. Like Jose, sorry,
dude. Jose, what are you thinking, man?
What
are you thinking with a 3-5-2? We didn't deploy that for 20 games, and all of a sudden this is the right setup. It didn't work. We got killed on Friday. We got lucky on the 2-2.
It's such. Oh yeah, Harry Kane just like dragged us to a draw there. It was 2 mistakes by Everton that he finished. If not, Spurs had a 10-minute stint. They were okay in the second half, and that was it. Other than that, it should have been like 4-1 Everton. But yeah, no, that's like microcosm Jose. It's like Jose after 2 matches ago. Our center backs are terrible, and then Jose against Everton. Let's start 3 center backs, and then Jose after Everton. Well, our center backs didn't deliver. It's like, well, why are you even adding more center backs out there and then playing this this formation that no one's seen yet? It sucks, Bucks. The other part, and this is not a defense of Jose, but it's just clear you have Poch players still, and Jose's trying to fit them like into this scheme. It just never worked out. Like, Ndombele would be much better for a Poch, a Klopp, a Pep, someone that's possession heavy and playing that type of zone in the midfield. And just forever, he never adapted. Forever. The only thing you could argue is maybe like him asking Kane to play back more, kind of unleash Kane a little bit. But even that, I don't know. I mean, maybe Kane just would have been awesome no matter who was his manager. And that's probably more the answer.
Kane would be awesome. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. It's just Harry Kane. It's not Jose. It's nobody.
It's Kane to think that he went this long. I did read I have no idea if it's confirmed yet. And I don't know if this stuff will ever come out. In America, it comes out with coaches getting fired, but his buyout might be a lot less than we all thought.
I don't care about the buyout. Get him out.
But yeah,
glad he's out.
Whatever. But maybe that's what it was.
How crazy is it that we went through it was 2019. We went through an episode where basically I was crying surrounding the Poch firing, right? And then 12 hours later, we had Jose. And we go into it. I had the stupid Kendrick Lamar song that I put in there with my park bus just went viral. Like there's a lot of dumb shit that was involved there, but to have a coach leave and to feel this way, it's different now because we've been doing this podcast since early 2019, so it's been about over 2 years now, and I've been a Spurs fan for a long time, but this is the first firing of a manager that I like truly remember and saying, I don't care, get rid of him. I don't have any affinity to this person whatsoever. And I hate that guy.
That's the thing that kind of sucks. It's like I don't know what good memories you're taking from this, but they're few and far between, Bucks.
6-1 Man U.
Man U, and then beating Man City 2-0. Yeah. I guess winning against Chelsea in the Carabao Bang Energy, whenever that was, quarters.
Yeah. Setting up Ryan Mason for a cup final victory. Love it.
Hopefully. We were doing far wackier stuff, Bucks. We got to bring back some more music videos and start splicing that all in with our feelings.
I'm starting to feel the energy again now that Jose is out. Jose. Yeah. I keep calling him Jay.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't think he manages again, do you?
Oh, he will.
You think he will? Do you think it's like Portugal national team or something?
Yes. Portuguese national team.
Like he's done in the EPL, and I'm sure he's toxic in Spain, and he wouldn't go to Germany. I really don't know where he would go.
No, he would not go to Germany.
Maybe he'd go back to Porto, or he'd just be the Portuguese national coach.
No, he'll be the Portuguese national team.
Yeah.
So in terms of options, you had mentioned Nagelsmann and Brendan Rodgers. Give me your argument for Nagelsmann.
I think he's the highest ceiling guy, but the problem is, does a team with veterans like, Harry Kane and Son are like in their prime currently, and then you got some other players that are more like I don't know what you're trying to do with like Toby or Dyer, or, the guys that were just recently re-signed, so are on the club for a while. It's like making sure that's a good fit, because he's younger, he's gotten, results, but it's just, is this results that can translate from going from Bundesliga to England? And I'm not sure if, he's going to have all the data behind him to indicate that those will be the future results for Spurs. But I think the way tactically he sets up, his knowledge, his charisma in the game and all that stuff, like, he's probably got the highest ceiling. Brendan Rodgers is the guy that, you just think to yourself, like, if he was given more, could he do more? He's got the, tried and true methods that have worked for him at Leicester, and they do very well and always seem to punch above their weight. As far as like their runs in the Prem, and now they're in the finals of the FA Cup. So he'd be probably the safer, higher floor bet, but I don't know if his ceiling would be the same as Nagelsmann.
So I'm going to counterpunch you there with Rodgers. If we landed Brendan Rodgers, I think we'd be in a great spot. I love what I see from the guy, number one, because when you look at a parallel between both clubs, Leicester and Tottenham, you have Vardy, you have Iheanacho, and then you have Harry Kane. The way that they utilize Vardy is very similar to the way that we would try to deploy Harry Kane. I think that's important. I think that's something that Brendan Rodgers brings, and he also brings that experience level with the Premier League. I would prefer to have Brendan Rodgers in. Does Brendan Rodgers even want to make a move to Tottenham? I mean, money talks, right? And hopefully we got the money over Leicester.
That would have been funny if that came across the newswire. After learning of their $325 million loan they're getting from, what is it, JP Morgan, that's doing the underwriting for the Super League, Spurs now have enough money to pay the Jose Mourinho buyout and have accordingly sacked him. So it's just Jose gets fired as soon as Spurs know they got an influx of cash coming.
So do you think it's Rodgers and it's Nagelsmann and that's it?
I feel like that's top two that they admire. I mean, but I'm sure anyone else. Yeah, I mean, it's such an early search.
I want Scott Parker, man.
I mean, throw him in there too. That's fine. I agree with our boy KT, who made, I thought, a good point on the rebuild, irrespective of the manager. These are the same players that Poch kind of failed with. Now, I still think Poch had unfortunately just checked out, or was just run down. He just needed a year off. And now look at him at
jet
PSG.
Ski time.
Yeah, he had to go on that jet ski, a few hours a day, and it just wasn't happening for him, grinding out in North London. So if it's like you need a truer rebuild, meaning like you are selling a couple of your big pieces, so whether it is just Dele or whether we start talking Kane transfer, Son transfer, those likes, then I think I would want a build from scratch, young, exciting manager like a Nagelsmann to fit that rebuild.
That's fair.
And I think that's the way I'm kind of leaning, Bucks, because otherwise I do worry, similar to our listener KT, if you have Brendan Rodgers in there, maybe it is, still an issue with some of the players and some, I don't know. Are Spurs really 3 players away from, competing, or is it like
away. 5?
Yeah. Well, then at some point, is that just considered a rebuild? And
it's a rebuild.
And Brendan Rodgers is putting a Band-Aid on the wound, whereas he's got to start from scratch. So,
well, there's going to be massive sellout. Like we will rid ourselves of whatever we think we have as assets that are not contributing to their level. That will happen this summer. I'm 100% confident.
Even though there's apparently this huge influx of dough coming in thanks to the Super League.
No, the toxicity has it has been there for quite some time. Yeah. Right? It's been there for 3 years. So you get rid of what you can. I hate to say it, but Dele is probably gone, and hopefully we can get 45, 50 million for him. And that was $120 million player just 3 years ago.
Yeah. And now
depreciation. Yeah.
You can't depreciate players, Bucks. I looked into it. Can't do it.
Well, it's hard to bounce back when you do it, because if you sold high, we'd be looking great. We'd probably have Thomas Souček in there, who's doing a hell of a job for West Ham. I don't know. I just feel like Brendan Rodgers right now would be the fit that I'm looking for. And it's understandable that, we have that anticipation of a guy like Nagelsmann. What can he do? I don't know. At this point, I really don't care. I will probably, unless it's like Sam Allardyce coming in, I will probably celebrate whoever the hell we bring in. And I will be happy, and I'll hope we're on that path forward. Spurs have a lot of potential. There's a lot of eggs cooking in the basket right now. There's a lot of eggs.
Boiling in the pot?
No, we're cooking in the basket right now. Shakes.
Frying in the pan?
No, we're cooking in a basket.
Okay.
Don't question me, Bruce Dickinson. But
to do some housekeeping real quick, I don't think Mason, reading through like questions, Bucks. Mason, I think, just stays kind of on the roster.
He's on the youth. He's on the youth squad.
I think he stays there. Same with King. If they want to keep him as a holdover, great with that. Also, the $3.5 billion, that's the total underwriting going on with JP Morgan that they're trying to basically set up as a loan for the Super League.
Insane.
Each team, though, upon entering, gets a $325 million loan from them that I assume just gets immediately paid back.
Fucking
whatever
JP
TV
Morgan
deal they do. Yeah, and I am long JP Morgan. I'm obligated to say. So now I feel
long?
like like I own the stock. So now I think I'm part of it, part of this whole thing. So I'm just talking about on a I understand.
Wait a second, Shakes. Did you devise this whole shit?
No. I'm not behind this,
buddy. This new information that's come to light, at least I need to start peeling back the onion.
It's a publicly traded company. Everyone can be an owner. But yeah, they're underwriting the whole project, knowing that they're just going to get this massive TV deal from right now. DAZN's being rumored and all that. But I'm pretty sure.
Don't do DAZN. Don't do DAZN.
All this stuff is changing. Yeah, they suck. All this stuff is changing. But I think it was 325 or maybe 350 million if you join the league right then and there.
Shakes.
So instead of a parachute payment, it's a come on in payment.
Shakes. Ian called you right out just like I did. I see through you. You had to announce that you're long. Well, guess what's the long game? It's the Super League. It's the long game.
Yeah.
You are the reason it's happening.
I'm texting Levy on the side. Well, I'm like, let me go on my podcast and blast the Super League.
Let's wrap
influx
it.
of money means Jose gone.
Let's wrap it. Jose out. I'm looking forward to the future with bright eyes and a bushy tail, as always. I'm also looking forward to the fallout of all this because the next 4 to 5 days should be
extremely great content for us, Bucks.
Pretty crazy. So we will be doing another pod, whether it's tomorrow or Wednesday night. We will be doing a Southampton preview as well as a cup final preview for the Bang Energy. Thank you all for tuning in. A lot of comments today. There's a lot to talk about, folks. Keep it up. Hit us on Twitter at TTPodCoys. You see it there in the video at TTPodCoys. Danny Shakes, sign the people off.
Let's go. Let's figure out what's ahead of us. Come on, you Spurs.
Damn, dude. Falsetto?
Thank you.
That was impressive, Shakes. Coys, get it done. Move forward.
Beat whoever's in front of us.